This video is sponsored by Foodie Addict, more on them later. In F tier, we have Tigaraksa. While it is not a level 2 subdivision, it is the capital of one, Tangerang Regency to be exact. Tigaraksa is mainly government offices, houses, factories, and empty fields, so it isn't exactly the most appealing place to live. And the transit is non-existent. There are only angkot lines. For higher order transit, you will need to get out of this regency and either head south to the Rangkas Bitung line or north to Balaraja, where you will find multiple regional bus lines. In E tier, we have Kabupaten Tangerang. While certain parts of this regency, mainly the ones built by private developers, will get a much higher tier because all of them provide complete facilities and sometimes transit of varying quality, the overall score is dragged down by parts that were left to sprawl organically without any meaningful infrastructure upgrades. Despite being far away from the city center, this place has multiple congestion hotspots such as the interchange that is flanked by Islamic and Lipo Karawaci. It could take 20 minutes to navigate this interchange at rush hour and weekends. Jalan Pantura and the Jakarta Merk Highway also see frequent congestion. When it comes to transit, the south is flanked by the Rangkas Bitung line, the Jakarta Merk Highway cuts through the middle, and it's also where you find multiple regional buses. Most private developers also provide internal and external shuttle buses with varying quality. One particularly bad transit dead zone is the corridor between Intermoda BSD, Ion, Cubic, and SMS. Despite having multiple malls, universities, offices, and a train station on a straight line, there are no city buses connecting all these places together, which is a shame because Gading Serpong has a lot of food options. My two personal favorites are Bakmi Wisin and Bebek Charok, two restaurants that Foodie Addict reviewed. Please go check them out. Then there's the whole Pick Dua situation, a private development that's almost completely cut off from the rest of the regency, with the main way of accessing it being via the highway or via Pick 1, which is in Jakarta. Depok is a city that does decently well when it comes to facilities. It is home to UI, one of the most prestigious universities in the country. Marco City is a pretty good mall. The Bogor line cuts right through the city. The LRT Cibubur line terminates at the northeast corner of the city, and Transjakarta runs two regional lines deep into the city. However, two problems, one kind of bad and one very bad, end up ruining the score. Depok was one of the last cities in Greater Jakarta to get its own city bus system, Trans Depok, which currently has one line. Yes, one line for a city of 2 million people. Though there's also many buses of varying quality, almost all are privately run with the exception of one line connecting Depok Baru station with Grand Depok City. The bigger issue is congestion. Traffic in Sawangan and Margonda is bad, and these are roads that are very difficult to ignore if you live here because these are the main roads. Cikarang is a city, though legally it's a collection of 5 districts that are a part of Bekasi Regency. Most of the facilities are in the south, most notably Ion Mall Delta Mas, which is the largest in Southeast Asia. But the main train station and bus terminal is in the north. The south does have a regional bus line, but it is expensive and the network of minibuses don't really connect important destinations in the south. Cikarang or well, Bekasi Regency does have one single city bus line, but it heads west towards Bekasi. Combining the fact that the transit system is fragmented, there's a lot of rich people in the south driving oversized SUVs, and a lot of truck traffic from all the factories here, traffic in this not-so-big satellite city is surprisingly bad. Most of the problems I mentioned about Cikarang also apply to Bekasi Regency, because Cikarang is in Bekasi Regency. But I want to mention Grand Wisata, which is a private development with zero internal public transport and very little external transit that only runs at rush hour. This is despite the fact that the city has direct access to the Jakarta-Cikampek Highway and is very close to both Tambun and Jatimulya LRT station. There's no all-day bus to Jakarta and no all-day shuttle to either of those two train stations. In D tier, we have Bekasi City. The core of the city is actually pretty good, as you have multiple major trip generators including at least 7 malls, a city park, stadium, multiple apartments and hospitals, all mostly in a straight line, which means that a single frequent city bus line actually does a half-decent job of connecting all these places together and connecting them with Bekasi Barat LRT station. Transjakarta also runs 5 lines here. 3 of them serve the core area, 1 serves the southern side of the city, and 1 serves the Harapan Indah area in the west. This is where the good ends though. Bekasi Station, which serves the Cikarang line and multiple intercity train services, has no transit connections apart from angkots. The Transpatriot Harapan Indah Terminal Bekasi line, which used to stop in Bekasi Station, is dead, and the entire southern half of the city smells like trash because that is where the Bantar Gebang landfill is located. This southern half is also severely congested and it takes half an hour to travel the 6 kilometers between Lida Bekasi and Jati Asih highway entrance. Next we have Cibinong. Same deal with Tigaraksa. It's a level 3 subdivision, Kecamatan, that's the capital of Kabupaten Bogor. It has a pretty big mall, stadium, botanical garden, and the regent's office. When it comes to transit, you have the Nambo branch line to the north that runs about once an hour, and multiple regional lines in the east along to Jagorawi. Traffic congestion exists, though it is considerably lighter than in many other regions mentioned in this video, so the main thing dragging down this city is transit, which mainly consists of angkots, though in my experience, Bogor City and Bogor Regency angkots are in a better shape than the angkots of say Bekasi. They tried to run a bus connecting Cibinong with Puncak, it got cancelled. They also tried running a bus from here to Soto, which I heard it actually ran, but information online is very limited and I did not see those buses when I went there some time ago. In C tier, we have South Tangerang, usually called Tangsel. Before you get mad at me, I should also point out that Tangsel managed to score pretty highly despite the passive incompetence of the local government because of 4 companies and 1 guy. None of them work for the South Tangerang government. Those 4 companies are Sinarwas, Alam Sutera and Jaya for developing large chunks of South Tangerang with modern facilities, and Transjakarta for running 4 regional lines deep into the city. That 1 guy is Ignatius Jonan for reforming the Kairang commuter line to the point that the Green Line literally becomes a quasi-metro line that slices through the center of the city and connecting BSD with Bintaro and Jakarta. All Tangsel needs to do is to run a city bus, which they failed to do. Trans Anggrek Circle Line is not a circle and it's dead. For a start, how hard is it to get 15 to 20 buses and run them between Alam Sutera and Bintaro Exchange? There are few angkots in this corridor to conflict with and a lot of stuff to connect to. Just this 1 line would tie up the Green Line, S61, and S11. Congestion along Serpong Raya, Insinyur Juanda, and Bayangkara Pustik Lantas is bad. Next we have Kabupaten Bogor. For a regency, their transit system seems considerably better than say Tangerang or Bekasi. Unlike Tangerang Regency, where most people cluster around the highway, resulting in catastrophic congestion, most people in Bogor Regency cluster around the Bogor line, with the area around Jagorawi Highway being not as developed. This results in more people taking the train, enough to justify 5-minute headways in the Bogor line and relatively light traffic in Jagorawi. Jagorawi also has Transjakarta services on almost the entire length of the highway, which is much better than Tol Cikampek and Tol Jakarta Merak. Then you get the Puncak area, a major tourist area that sees apocalyptic congestion at weekends. But here's the thing, you can absolutely go to Puncak without a car. Almost all major tourist destinations are lined up, following the main road that's served by the very frequent 02A angkot. The main thing holding back this space is local transit, which consists only of angkots. We need a system similar to Transjatim for Bogor, Bekasi, and Tangerang Regency. A Transjatim-style network works well because Bogor Regency is, well, a regency. It's not a city but a collection of smaller cities. Also, being near the mountains and having not that many factories helps with weather and air quality, which helps the score a bit. Fun fact, but a small section of Cianjur Regency is also legally part of Greater Jakarta. Just a part in the Puncak area, so if you want my opinion on that part of Cianjur Regency, it's the same as Kabupaten Bogor. Next we have Tangerang City. If we look purely at the network, Tangerang City has the most well-connected system outside of Jakarta. Trans Tangerang has 4 main lines plus a bunch of feeders, one of which goes to Alam Sutera and connects with the S61. Transjakarta runs 4 regional lines into the city, though only 2 run deep inside Tangerang. Transjakarta also runs Corridor 13 in Ciledug. Yes, a full-blown BRT corridor, though no dedicated lanes until you enter Jakarta. Where things fall apart is when you see how narrow Trans Tangerang's operational window is. The whole thing shuts down at 6 to 7 p.m. This is a problem because a lot of people are not home by 7 p.m. After 7 p.m., only Transjakarta services remain. Another issue is the Tangerang line, which runs every 30 minutes off-peak, despite the fact that it can absolutely run every 15 minutes while sharing track with the airport train, which it does but only at rush hour. Speaking of the airport, plus points for being where Soekarno-Hatta Airport is. Tangerang City is also noticeably lacking in facilities. The core of the city has Tang City Mall, that's literally the only alive mall in the whole city. Both the slightly larger Bekasi and significantly smaller South Tangerang have more facilities. Tangerang City does have Pasar Lama, a culinary area, and Foodie Addict have curated a list of places that you should absolutely try there. In B tier, we have Bogor City. Biskita Transpakuan is back and is stronger than ever, with all 4 lines back in operation and 1 getting an extension to Bogor Station. Another entity, also called Transpakuan, but without the Biskita, runs a shuttle service to Sentul City. Bubulak and Baranangsiang terminals have regional bus service. Cidangyang is where the 2 Transpakuans meet, and right next to it, Botani Square, which is a mall that also has a terminal serving Transjakarta and Damri airport buses. And right next to it is a university. In the middle of all of this, the Bogor line, which runs around every 5 to 10 minutes, and the Pangrango, which has a couple of departures a day, terminate at Bogor Station. Other plus points includes the nice weather, it is not as hot as the rest of Greater Jakarta, lots of trees, and Tol Jagorawi is relatively light congestion compared to some other highways. Though of course there are some problems, mainly traffic in some parts of Bogor is bad, especially in front of Bogor Station. The Bogor line is overloaded at rush hour, and P11 buses sometimes run at 50 km per hour on the highway despite light traffic. Transjakarta says it's for safety, but this is wasting passengers' time and is actually dangerous, literally asking to be rear-ended. Transjakarta should return to running buses every 70 km per hour on the highway. Also, Bogor is quite far compared to other satellite cities, so depending on where you work, living here can either be a really good or really bad idea.